In 1814, Dutch inventor Dietrich Nicolaas Winkel created a chronometer timekeeping device, which is what we know today as the metronome. And later, this design was refined and patented by one of Beethoven's engineers and collaborators, Johann Nepomuk Metzel. And conveniently, the device has the name metron in it, which is Greek for meter. But this is not to be confused with the meter as in distance. This is the meter that makes up rhythm. As you can see in this particular example, the metronome, the timing, is the force that's driving the music forward. Now that's not always the case. Musicians, they might go off time to be more expressive, but in this case, a metronome can be really useful to us. So we're going to take that and we're going to make our own metronome for the Game Boy. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and create a new C file, and we're going to include some libraries, the first one being the standard input-output, and the second one being the Tonc library. And if you don't know what that is, go check out the Tonc videos down below on how to set that up, because it's really important. Next, what does every C program need? We need a main function. Let's go ahead and add one. Now that we have this entry point for the program, we're going to go ahead and do some setup, one of which is for the font that displays the BPM. So setup font. And then we're also going to set the background mode for the Game Boy Advance, which will display a black background. There we go. Now comes another important part where we're going to set up the sound for the Game Boy Advance. So how we do that, we first enable the sound register for use, and then we're going to select the left and the right. I don't know which one is which right now, but we're going to select those channels so we can hear the sound on either side. And this right here is the volume of 7. I believe that might be the maximum, or it's 14 or 12. Don't quote me on that, but it's something around those lines. And then we're going to go ahead and set the ratio, so it's only going to be pulse waves. What that means is kind of those beep boop sounds. It's only going to be that. We're not using the audio registers today. And then we're going to not do this sweep because that's a little bit, we don't need it for the metronome, so we're just not going to do that. And then the envelope, how this works is you do the envelope build in the sound 1 control register. And this is the volume of 5, and the length, I'm going to set that to the shortest possible because usually a metronome, you want it to be very concise. And we're also going to just do 1, which is normally I think it would increase the envelope or decrease, one of the two. And then the square duty is just going to be 50%, so it's going to sound like your classic square wave. And then it's always a good idea to initialize the sound frequency to 0. Now here's where things get fun. We're going to build a function to run the metronome. So I'm going to call this init metro. So first we're going to initialize things. And inside this metronome, we're going to update it constantly. So what that means is for the Game Boy Advance, we're going to be doing what's called an infinite while loop. So we'll just loop forever. And what this is saying is while 1, while true, we're going to loop forever. So it's always true, it's always going to be looping. And here are some things we need to keep track of. Metronomes. What do those actually measure? Well, they measure a sense of musical time. And so that time we're going to relate to seconds. And we can use that. We can use the Game Boy timers in order to do that. Next, we need beats. Musicians like to think of in terms of beats and not seconds. And we also need the number of beats in a measure. In this case, I'm going to keep things simple and do 4/4. And that's what this sounds like. Next, we also need to specify the octave of our metronome. You don't want to make it too high pitched, so be careful about that. And finally, we're going to set a default BPM of 120. So I tried to record more of this video, but it didn't really work out because this weekend just a lot happened. But I will make another video, a part 2, next week. So stay tuned for that and stay curious. Peace.